The bank statements told a story I was never meant to read.
I never imagined I would be the person sitting alone in a quiet living room, staring at financial statements that made no sense, feeling my reality crack open. The house was familiar, but that evening it felt like a set built for someone else's life. For years, I believed loyalty and consistency were enough to protect a marriage. I trusted routine more than instinct, and that trust became my blindfold. The unexplained expenses appeared slowly at first, scattered across statements like harmless anomalies. I told myself there was a reasonable explanation I simply hadn't heard yet. Late nights became frequent, always paired with rehearsed excuses delivered without eye contact. Distance grew quietly, disguised as ambition. When I finally asked questions, the answers felt polished but empty. Something in me shifted, though I still resisted the truth. The confrontation that followed was calm on the surface and violent underneath. Deflection replaced reassurance, and irritation replaced empathy. That was the moment I understood I was no longer dealing with honesty. I was dealing with control. Fear crept in slowly, not of loss, but of how much I didn't know. The person I shared a life with felt like a stranger rehearsing lines. I stepped outside that night to breathe, and that was when I noticed patterns I could no longer ignore. Strange cars, unfamiliar schedules, and a sense of being watched settled into my bones. A quiet conversation with someone observant changed everything. Questions became investigations, and doubt became direction. I learned quickly that patience reveals more than confrontation ever could. Silence became my shield while clarity sharpened. Days turned into quiet surveillance of my own life. I observed without reacting, documented without accusing. The truth unfolded slowly but completely. There was no room left for denial. What hurt most was not the betrayal alone, but the realization I had been underestimated deliberately. Threats followed once my questions turned serious. Fear became real, tangible, and immediate. I understood then that this was bigger than personal betrayal. It was systemic, calculated, and dangerous. Preparation replaced emotion entirely. Survival required strategy, not outrage. Evidence accumulated quietly, piece by piece. Every detail confirmed how deep the deception ran. The weight of the implication nearly crushed me. On paper, innocence looks fragile. I learned how easily truth can be buried beneath appearances, and how essential proof becomes when trust is gone. Every conversation became an act. Every shared space felt unsafe. The house no longer felt like shelter. It felt like a stage set for collapse. When the opportunity came to expose everything, it did not feel triumphant. It felt necessary. The moment unfolded quickly, without drama or mercy. Lights came on where shadows had thrived. Consequences followed immediately, indifferent to excuses. Power dissolved under scrutiny. Watching it happen did not bring joy. It brought relief. What followed was chaos mixed with silence. Legal processes replaced emotional ones. I was questioned, examined, and doubted. Truth had to be proven, not just felt. Days blurred into weeks of exhaustion. Sleep came rarely and lightly. Support arrived unexpectedly, steady and unwavering. Strength returned slowly through consistency. Fear lingered but no longer controlled me. Clarity replaced panic. When judgment finally arrived, it was precise and final. Innocence was confirmed where doubt once lived. The fallout continued long after. Reputations crumbled where integrity never existed. The marriage ended quietly, without reconciliation. Closure does not always require agreement. The house emptied, but the silence felt different. It felt honest. I rebuilt my routines carefully, reclaiming my space and my identity. Peace returned slowly. Work became grounding again. Purpose followed stability. I stopped explaining myself to those who never listened before. Validation lost its grip. Trust rebuilt inward before extending outward. Self-respect became the foundation. Occasionally, fear would resurface unexpectedly, but it passed without controlling me. The past transformed into instruction rather than a burden. Understanding replaced bitterness. I learned that being perceived as weak is often intentional. It allows others to act freely. I learned that restraint is not submission, it is preparation. What shocked everyone was not revenge, it was precision. I did not destroy anything. I simply revealed it. Life simplified without manipulation shaping every decision. Freedom felt earned. The future no longer looked impressive from the outside. It felt stable from within. I stopped mourning the life I thought I had. I started valuing the one I saved. Strength no longer required volume. Silence held more power. Standing alone no longer frightened me. It steadied me. The person I became through this was quieter, sharper, and unafraid of truth. That person felt real. I learned that betrayal does not always come with chaos. Sometimes it arrives polished and patient, and exposure does not require cruelty. It requires courage. The story did not end with revenge or reunion. It ended with clarity. Loss became direction. Pain became purpose. And in refusing to remain silent, I reclaimed a future that could never again be built on lies.